Welcome to this episode of Skills Change Lives, and I'm super excited to be meeting my guest, another stalwart of his profession and an outstanding ambassador for why a career in food as a chef can be so satisfying. He would of course say for himself that from his humble beginnings, which actually included taking his City and Guilds at Westminster Kingsway College, and we'll hear more about that later, was how he became the top chef he is today. And like the cream he so often cooks with, he rose to the top, working across many top London hotels and restaurants throughout his career, including being a very, very favoured TV personality, chef personality on our screens, including a big stint on Good Morning. He's also the author of 12 cookbooks. He is, of course, the one and only Mr. Ainsley Harriott. Welcome, Ainsley. Lovely to see you.
Oh, thank you. What a lovely introduction.
Well,
thank you so much.
It's all you. It's your bio. It's your life.
Sounds pretty impressive, that, didn't it? I really love that.
It's amazing what you can do with words, isn't it?
It is amazing. I can see that. Shall I prepare myself?
We're going to make you work today.
Every time. I didn't think I was going to be doing any cooking today, I'll tell you.
Take that.
Yeah.
You put that on while I take
Beautiful.
that and put that somewhere safe.
Absolutely. I might just drop that there because I think that might hit the mic. Do you mind if I put that round there?
No, you do.
Okay.
You do what you need to do. Well, listen, welcome. And as I said at the beginning, what we'd like to do really, Ainsley, is I'm going to benefit from a masterclass in how to make the perfect omelette.
Yeah.
I've already found out that I shouldn't put parmesan in. So, and then we're going to really talk about your career and how it all began. So let's start with that. How did it all begin?
Well, it began because I think initially I loved cooking because my mother was a fantastic cook. My dad was in show business and a few of the friends used to come round and of course, like anybody in those days, you want to impress people, you brought out a little bit of food. And do you know what I mean?
Because
I think we take it for granted now. But in those days it was something really special to go round to someone's house and then my mum would come out, you know, the grapefruits with the cocktail sticks in it, bits of cheese and frankfurters and pineapple and stuff like that on top of it. But it became even more elaborate and it was a fantastic thing to see, and more importantly to see how well received it was, you know what I mean? People said, oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah, sense of community.
And I'd sit under the piano. My dad had this Bluthner piano and it was like a grand piano because that was his job. And I'd sit there as a young child just observing people and just becoming aware how much they sort of just embraced everything because of the warmth, that sharing of the food and everything else. And I thought, that's what I want to do.
Wow.
Because we don't realise, but all of us kind of make decisions about what we want to do in life, what we want to achieve in life from a very early age, I think.
True.
Something's in there. Do you want to share? Are you a giver? Oh, indeed, are you a taker? You know, go and work in the City of London or something like that, you know what I mean? Shall I do a bit of chopping up? Do you mind?
No, please
okay.
do. Let's carry on chatting.
So we've got peppers here with a bit of onion. I think we'll sauté those off and then... you've got a bit of cheese there too. Oh yeah, it's going to be
the perfect omelette.
Yeah,
my favourite breakfast food.
Yeah, it's going to be like a frittata or something.
So were you allowed in the kitchen when your mum was, you know, when your mum and dad had these people come round? Did you genuinely start to learn some of your skills?
I think the thing about mum, it was that all of us, all the family, all the children, my brother, sister, I'm the youngest of three. They all. Let me just put a little bit of heat on here, everybody. There you go. We'll go over here.
There you go.
And we all felt very comfortable. Mum made us feel very relaxed in the kitchen because she knew it was very important because it brought people together. But it's that skill that it was passed on to her from my grandfather, who cooked at the White House.
Really?
C.T. Strudwick.
Amazing. Wow.
And when Barack Obama was president, we did everything to kind of find out, exactly when he was there, which president he cooked for, and all that, because he got invited there from the Washington College, the catering college. So it's in the blood.
Yeah.
And he passed on that wonderful freedom.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way of
To
describing it.
food.
To express yourself with food, and that's exactly what. That's
Amazing.
exactly. Yeah.
What a great story. What great heritage. But sort of coming back to you and how you did get started. Of course, you did go and do your qualification, your City and Guilds qualification at Westminster Kingsway, and that's a great institution actually for anyone doing food and hospitality. What was your experience like?
Well, I've got to say that you know, people talk about you know, learning skills, and there's no place finer, as far as I was concerned, than Westminster Catering College. I think it gave me the opportunity to become sort of diverse in my food, learn a lot more about different skills that are required. It's not only the practical, it was the theory side of things too. You can go into the kitchen and someone cook could say, oh, this is the way you do this. And then it stops there. So it's all about what's on their menu. Whereas when you go to catering college, when you go and sort of to acquire or to work hard to get your City and Guilds, there are different areas that you learn about.
Yeah.
And also you're mixing with people, which is, and I think it's one of the absolute key things, is that you're mixing with people from lots of different backgrounds of the catering industry. Now, do you want to go and work in a hotel restaurant? Do you want to work in an industrial unit? Do you want to work in a little coffee shop or something like that? Everybody, all of them, are catered towards, you know, feeding people. But more importantly than any of those things, you need to learn the basic skills first. Yeah. And that's what the college give you. That's what Westminster gave me. It, you know, right across the board. Yeah, I'd go in there and I thought, well, why are they showing me how to make a bechamel? I know how to make a bechamel. Well, the guy next to me or the girl next to me might not know how to make a bechamel. But guess what? And it also makes you realise how important it is to go back and to have those skills, even though you know it, to be reminded of, you know, how you do that and why you do that, you know? Well,
it's about repeat and practice, isn't it? I mean, we're always all learning. I'm sure you'd even say today, you're still learning. We're always learning. That's the great thing about passing on your skills. But was there anybody, if you remember back to those days, did you have a particular tutor or mentor when you look back?
Yes, there was Mr. Hollingsworth. Sadly, he's just passed, and but he was a great character. Wow. And in those days, they used to walk around like they owned the college, and their sort of white coats and stuff like that. And it was like you're back at Borstal School. So, come here, boy, come here, call yourself a chef. You know, this is how you fillet a Dover sole, and they'd do some sort of flash thing. And again, isn't that fantastic? They'd show you, they'd go through the whole process, how to fill it and stuff like that. And maybe you're working in a catering unit where you've got a load of stuff out the freezer and you threw it onto a tray, you know, drizzle a little bit of oil, salt and pepper and bung it in the oven. No, this was back to basics. Fresh. You know, you learnt the real skills of everything. And you can never replace that. That's something that even today I still remember, those basic skills that, excuse me, that Hollingsworth taught us. Wow. And it wasn't Hollingsworth, we might go to the theory side of things. And Mrs. Williams was there, the Scottish lady who would tell you about where tea came from, where coffee came from. Yeah. You know, those things. I know we just sort of take it for granted. Oh, but it's in a tea bag. Yeah, but how did it get in the tea bag? You know, those are the skills. That is what college gives you. And more importantly, like, as I've said before, it's about mixing with different people, mixing with people from different backgrounds, different cultures and everything else. You all come together, you're all being trained to do the same thing, and the results are fantastic.
Brilliant. And actually talking about that, I mean, I suppose, you know, just when you were mentioning there about those sort of tutors and the sort of sternness of all of that, resilience is probably a skill you probably most, well, I think you need resilience today in pretty much every career, but particularly in becoming a chef or being in a kitchen, especially when you watch the programmes, Gordon Ramsay. Is it all about swearing and throwing, you know, pans across the kitchen? How important is resilience?
I don't think it is. I think that, you know, Gordon, bless him, is a, you know, phenomenal chef, and you know, we're talking about a level there that people want to aspire to, think, yeah, I want to be able to go and own a fantastic restaurant where I've got a Michelin star and stuff like that. That's probably about 1% of the market, maybe even less than 1% of the market. There's so much to learn across the board. That's what you have to decide, what type of cook you want to be. And this is the great thing about going to college. It gives you that platform that base to kind of say, right, I can make a decision. What interests me? What do I really like? Do you want to go somewhere where you're doing something really delicate on a plate, and you end up it's like an amuse-bouche, and it only covers about 4 or 5 centimetres of the plate. That is yours. Then you take it away, you taste it, then you wait another 20 minutes. It's beautiful. We've all done it. But, the reality is that food has so many different areas for you to go into. What do you want to do? Just grasp it. Just get in the kitchen and have a go. And do you know what, Kirsty, more than anything else, a lot of us go to work and we have projects that we don't actually get rewarded for until about 6 months, or maybe even if it's the end of the week. Cooking a dish.
It's immediate.
Well,
I'm going to find that out in a minute when you make me this fantastic omelette. So then what happened next for Ainsley? So you're at college, you did your Sitting Gills, you then went and served as an apprentice, didn't you? So what was the sort of next stage of your development?
Well, the apprentice, going in and first finding out about what type of establishment I wanted to learn my skills in, and then having gone for about 4 or 5 interviews at big hotels and stuff like that, I suddenly discovered, and it's only because of me, and I'm very much a people person, that it's about the atmosphere, about the people that you walk into the place. It's almost like, when you want to rent a flat, or you want to get your first flat, your first time, or your first house, if you're lucky enough to be able to do that. It's a vibe. You walk in the place and you go, this feels right.
Yeah, you just
this feels right. Or dare I say, it's your first kiss. Do you know what I mean, Kirsty? You thought,
that was so nice. Long ago. When did that happen? When was my last one, even?
Well, it's kind of one of those things like, is this the right place for me? I walked in and I was at Vere's restaurant in Regent Street. £15 a week. Can you imagine that? Wow. But they were sending me off to college. They said, you go to Westminster Kingsway College, you learn your skills. And I just liked it. I walked in there, the guys were sitting around, lots of them, at the end of service, they were in the back room there. In those days, lots of them were fagging it and doing stuff. Big silver pots of coffee with chipped cups all around. It wasn't for the customers, just for the staff in the back, round the back. And we were sipping and they said, oh, you're not coming here, mate. You won't last here. And I saw a few sort of black faces in the kitchen too, which made me feel a little bit comfortable. Because there were times in my career when I was going for jobs and I was told, as a black man, they didn't want a head chef representing the company. No, but that's what happened. It was, we're talking about late 70s, early 80s here, and kind of...
Do you think that has changed, though, hopefully for the better? I hope you're going to say yes.
Yes, I think it has. I think that, I certainly feel, or I hope that I've contributed in a way to that, is that giving people the encouragement, making people understand that people can cook, and we become more acceptable of world cuisine, of food from different parts of the world and what it means. I've said this before, sort of Jamie Oliver, if you like. Now, you don't just expect to get food from Essex from Jamie because he's doing Italian food. You still believe him? Is he Italian? No, he's not Italian. It's not the point. We learn how to do all these different things, whether it's Asian cuisine or it's African cuisine, Caribbean and European. Right across the board, there's all these different things that come together. But once you understand the basic science of food, then you can take it in any direction. And that's where you get your good training. And that's what you can get when you go to college. Hold on, right. Let me just get this. Now, we've got some peppers here.
Right.
You can see that. I've just literally...
Lovely, colourful
and they're
peppers.
just salted off a little bit of onion and pepper. Yeah, just soft enough. We're just going to pop those onto a plate. We like that multicoloured thing because it looks so beautiful.
Comes out through the egg when it's
on TV. And then
See, I've already learnt something because normally that's in the pan and I just chuck the egg straight in. So fascinating, Ainsley, and that will be really inspirational for any particularly young people who are thinking about entering this profession, because it is such a great profession. But I said a moment ago that I do think you need quite a lot of resilience, and you've already touched on the fact that you showed that even early on, even if you didn't realise you were showing it. Is that something that you think has carried you through your career to where you are today?
I think so. I think you need a toughness. Let's be perfectly honest with anybody who wants to go into the catering industry. It can be a very, as far as hours are concerned, it can be very unsociable. You know, but the rewards are amazing. You know, do you want to get a job that starts at 7 o'clock in the morning and finishes at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon? It's available.
Yeah.
If you want one that starts at 6 and you get in there to do the breakfast and you have a little break for 2 hours in the afternoon, then you're back again, split duty, and you work to 11, 12 o'clock at night, it's all out there. It really is. One of the areas I particularly loved was ODC, outdoor catering.
Right.
I loved it, and the fact that it was so different. Each time you were going to a different place, you go to the client's house, you discuss the menu, you could say, what would you like? And then you cook up 4 or 5 different dishes of starters and main courses, and you'd lay it all out there, and they have a little bit of a taste. It's almost like a tasting session, Kirsty. Oh, I like that one, chef. Oh, do you? Oh, lovely. And we like that, and then lovely desserts and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to take those 4 or 5 dishes, whatever they've decided on, and then you're going to have to serve their guest. Could be 200, 300, 400, could be 1,000 people.
I was going to say, what's the biggest you've ever?
Oh,
catered?
golly. Well, I remember being down at Wembley and working down there, and the chef down there put me on canopies. It was when Pavarotti was singing at Wembley.
Wow.
I couldn't touch a canopy or look at a canopy for a month. Thousands of the buggers, thousands, but beautiful, and each decorated, each one, you know, done by hand. So it could be for 10 people, it could be for 10,000 people. As long as you've got the numbers, the most important thing is that one dish to start with, and then you can multiply it. It doesn't matter. It's the satisfaction, the joy. Does it work? Do all those things come together? And working out, planning menus. Another thing you get from when you go to a catering college, they tell you how to plan things, how to organise things. You know, how fantastic is that? Does that go with that? Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. I'll tell you what happens, and my pan's getting really hot at the moment. Let's crack some eggs, let's get on with the omelette.
And I suppose just on that then, so how important was your Sitting Gills as a qualification to take at the college? Because, as you say, it gave you all of those basics, but also that framework for what became your future learning.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really important because it gave me an opportunity to go to college and to show my skills that I might have learnt at my workplace. Some of them didn't have that. It's, you know, you've got to feel proud of what you do. You know, there's something about putting on. I never forget when I first put on my chef's whites, my apron and everything else, and in those days my tall chef's hat, you know, which I think I've got a picture for it. I have to get out the phone and show it to you.
Have to,
We'll have a show. We'll put it on camera. All right, guys. We'll put it on camera.
I could do with a chef hat to make me a bit taller.
Little 17-year-old Ainsley with his tall chef's hat, and maybe, you know, every time I knocked it on the ventilation system, you know, chef would tell me off. But I think it was. I felt very proud, and I felt that going to college was really important because it broke up the week. Yeah. It gave you an opportunity, as I said, to learn other skills that you perhaps didn't pick up on your kitchen, the theory side of things, and the discipline of it. And, you know, it doesn't just happen instantly.
No.
There's this thing about food where you just think, bang, I want it now, I want it, you know, quick. It takes time. And then you get rewarded. You know, something does need, you know, we've just sauteed those peppers and stuff. It took a bit of time to soften them a little bit, to let the sugars naturally come out of the vegetables and to get a tad of colour in there. And now we're going to have our eggs, we've got some cheese. And it's a simple thing like an omelette, but it can be so pleasurable. Well, I bloody hope so.
Well,
anyway.
You're definitely making it sound very exotic. Are you a 2-egg or a 3-egg omelette, man?
Well, I thought we might share it, but what do you think? Do you want one each, or I could
no, let's have a nibble on.
Let's have a yeah.
Yeah, let's have a nibble together. The community of sharing our food.
Oh,
like you started.
Oh, why hello, Kirsty.
So, moving swiftly on. Where did the TV happen?
Right, I'm just whipping up my eggs. When did it all start for me? I'd say that. Let's have that. These things are so sensitive. I prefer a bit of gas.
I'm a bit of a gas girl.
I'm a bit of a gas girl.
You can turn it up. You can turn it off.
Yeah, lovely. I like a blue flame, me. Woo!
We haven't got that there.
Oh, lovely. 'Cause, I think, you know, it's after going into Veries, then going to catering college, I then I didn't get that much time off actually.
Right.
Because, but when I did, it was normally a sporty moment, and there was we used to go and play cricket, and there's a friend of mine there called Rick Jones, who was a freelance journalist, and he wrote an article about me in Time Out magazine saying he's head chef of the Long Room at Lord's, which I was, albeit for a week or two at a time, because the only time Lord's was full was when we had, big cricket matches on, international cricket matches, or Middlesex were doing particularly well. And then his grandfather cooked at the White House, which was true, but, it was kind of... Anyway, and Geoffrey Dijon, a lot of old cricket fans out there, not the youngsters who might be coming to college, but a lot of the old cricket fans will know that... Geoffrey Dijon was the West Indian wicketkeeper. Right. And so he was my cousin, second cousin, but I say cousin. So this kind of article suddenly, it started to link together. Right, I've got my cheese, a little bit, shall we put a little bit of chilli, a little bit of chilli in there? Yeah, go on, just a touch of that, there we are. And there we are, I don't want that to burn. And then I'm just going to pull that there. And he wrote this article, a producer at the BBC called Claire Shonker read the article, contacted me and said, I've just read your article. We'd love you to come along and do a pilot for a potential radio show that we want to put on the air. And I did this show, and it was called More Nosh, Less Dosh. And really, really hard work for 25 quid, I think, or something like that. Wow. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, the BBC have never been big payers. We may have to edit that. We may have to edit that.
I didn't care. Money was never an object, when I was training as a chef. It's what you get, It's really surprising how you put all your effort and soul into everything. You think, oh, God, and then you get rewarded later on. It comes back to you. Never be frightened of that. Don't look initially at the money thinking, because, you're committed to the time, you're committed to the pressure of working in the industry, but the rewards are fantastic. As I say, not only preparing a meal, the camaraderie you get in the kitchen. These are your soulmates. These are your people you go out clubbing with late at night and everything else. These are, they're just your people. And we made this programme, More Nosh, Less Dosh, hugely successful, got nominated for the Glenfiddich and Sony Award. After that came Good Morning Anne and Nick.
Of course.
And which I absolutely loved. Even I
had such fun, didn't you, on that?
I absolutely, I crapped myself, really, because I can't tell you, it was a live show. You can imagine doing TV for the first time, and it's a live show.
Absolutely.
I was so nervous, but I absolutely loved it. But what a training. It's like being thrown at the deep end. It's like going into the kitchen and someone saying, take that over, get on with that. If you go to catering college, you're able to do that.
Yes.
You can actually see something and you just remember, dig, takes you back. It's not like going somewhere and saying, that's how you make a souffle, a Grand Marnier souffle or something like that, which is lovely, look at that. That's all you know. What goes into that? Why is it? What about the heat? What about the dish? Where did that come from? And does that work well? Does it complement it right? All these little things that you take for granted. It's almost like asking an interior designer to come along and design your house for you. Oh, that works wonderful. I'd never have thought of that. Same with food. Yep. Having that knowledge, being able to bring all these different kind of colours and flavours and everything together is just... It's fantastic, but you've got to have the basics. Basics comes from college. Basic comes from it being drummed into you. Here we go again. This time, we are going to make an omelette.
We'll get that blue flame, blue flame going.
I know.
But that must have been immensely terrifying. Like you say, that first time, you're in live TV, the cameras are rolling, there's no, bleeper, I want to walk out the room now, and you're cooking and talking, just like you're doing now, but now decades of experience later. I mean, that must have been,
it was
immense.
Absolutely petrifying. And with such slick presenters like Anne Diamond and Nick Owen and everybody else, all the other people around you. I think we had, what was his name? The famous gardener man.
Alan, I'm speaking to Alan soon on Skills Change Lives as well, because he's a sitting guilder as well. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Well, give him my regards, because I've done his show many times, going out to that country retreat, and I just remembered him being in the studio, just going to Pebble Mill in Birmingham, seeing all these famous faces and going, wow.
So obviously, you know, that's how your TV career started, and you know, that must have been just absolutely superb. But did it take your focus away from what you absolutely love doing best, which is cooking, or did you feel it meant you could just spread the love of cooking even more across everybody's living room? Was that kind of the sort of main mission for you?
Yeah, I think what it is that as soon as I discovered that. What's the matter with you?
You're on.
Yeah. I'm just going to get this guy here, Kurt.
That's interesting. So you almost partly scramble it before you omelette it. See, another new skill I've learned.
That's it. We're just going to pop that there. And we've got some peppers that we're going to go in here. Just a few of those. Yeah, just a few of those sort of sprinkled around. That's lovely. That's enough there for you, Kirst?
Yeah, lovely.
That's okay. A little bit of crunch.
That's looking good.
Touch of cheese.
Like cheese. Look at that.
Yeah, lovely. There we are. A little bit of cheese. Ooh,
smelling good.
A little bit of cheddar, isn't it? Really. Eh?
Basic cheddar. Does it every time in an omelette.
You like a bit of basic cheddar. Where's my fork? That's okay. Don't want this to stick too much. There we are.
So you make it look so easy. If that was me now with that omelette pan, it would look a disaster.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. You'd be absolutely fine.
Slide it on.
There you go.
Voila.
Perfect.
Look at that.
In the kitchen, we'd actually just give it that little bit of a cigar shape like that.
Look at that.
That's okay.
Fabulous.
And then we'd finish that off. We ain't finished.
Just a bit of... Wow. Well, thank you, sir. That looks delish.
There we are.
Yeah.
There we are.
Ooh.
And when you go to Westminster College, you can make an omelette for Kirsty just like me. All you gotta do is study real hard, chop some chives, whip some eggs to make it really tasty. Yeah, boy.
We've got to try it now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We've got to try it. Wow. Okay, should we dive in?
You can dive in, and I shall tell you. You were asking me all about
the love of cooking for the TV, for the Grand Nation, as opposed to the love of cooking in a restaurant.
Yeah, I think it was. I think the television was quite a transition, but what really helped me, people talk about skills in life. Earlier on I mentioned that my father was in show business. Perhaps that's part of our DNA, I don't know. But observing and seeing all the people, the way they interacted with him and my mum's cooking, I think it meant I was able to combine the two and take it into the television arena. And it just... I was able to adapt to it. I got very positive results from doing the, Good Morning Anne and Nick. Then we went on to do Ready, Steady, Cook, which was an enormous success. And then even so, there was an article talking about Fern Britton, who's the most fabulous presenter of the programme at the time, then became a celebrity Ready, Steady, Cook. So we were moving into primetime TV, and the whole cooking thing took off. And if I give you an example, when I first started in television, I think there were 12 chefs on TV. I think there's about 112 at the moment. I think it's, if you look at all the various different cooking channels and stuff like that, it has just gone whoom. And yet lots of people can achieve that. There are a lot of YouTubers out there and stuff like that. So if you have a passion for food, then, there's loads and loads of opportunities, but you really have got to make sure you're trained properly. Let's get the basics. Yeah. Nail that down. Once you nail that down, then the next step could be anything that you want it to be.
Brilliant.
You know, it really is about your passion, how dedicated you are, and put the time and effort in. Yeah, it does require a discipline.
Yeah, it's graft.
Yeah, it's a bit crap when you have to roll over and get up at 5, 6 in the morning to go to work. But that's life.
Yep.
And, you know, later on, it's not going to just happen. You're not going to suddenly become an Ainsley Harriott or Tom Kerridge like that. It's going to take time to develop those skills and to learn about them and to be proud of what you do. Do you know, it's those people, even when you talk about professional sports people, they often turn around and say the dedication to start with, how hard I had to train, how much effort I had to put in before I got to this stage. You're seeing the end product there and you're going, wow, how do they do that? And now we know.
Yeah.
You know, it just takes real dedication.
By the way, that is not a basic omelette.
Is it not?
No, that's a bloody good omelette. So thank you very, very much.
One love, Kirsty.
So Ainsley, you've had a remarkable career, no doubt about it. But I mean, I suppose, what would you give to somebody thinking about a career like yours in terms of the most important piece of careers advice you might give somebody?
Do you know, I think that don't go into it just because you think, oh, it's a job. No, because it does require a lot of dedication. Fair amount of discipline too. You have to be disciplined. You're in a kitchen where you've got sharp knives, you've got temperatures, ridiculous heat all around you all the time, quite a frantic atmosphere. It's not all like Gordon's kitchens, but there was quite a lot of swearing that goes on because he just has the most amazing standards. Same as Tom, same as all these people who run big kitchens with lots of different staff. You've got to have the discipline because you know what you're aiming for is a standard that if the person who's come into your restaurant and had this fantastic, I'm just going to say filet sole Veronique just for an idea. They want to come back in a week's time and have the same thing. They go away thinking that was fantastic, that was magical. So that's what you've got. You've got to maintain those standards, and that's why it becomes a little bit tense sometimes, because you often see people put out a dish, say that's what I want it to look like, have a taste of it. Everyone comes around to taste it. That's what I'm looking for. That's the taste, and you've got to follow that. So you do need that discipline. It's not like one day you put in a little bit of cheese, the next day you put in a load of cheese because the balance goes wrong, and then. And all of that can be achieved, or all of that is nailed down when you go to catering college.
Yeah, and you get your qualification.
You get your qualification, and you learn the discipline. You're with other people. There's a sense of understanding. You're chatting with your people, and you're saying, "I'm working there. Oh, we did this the other day." It gives you. It's like you're turning up for a competition all together, and you're doing it every week,
right.
And it gives you a real buzz. Or it can have a negative effect. It might turn around and say, this is not for me. But it's the place to find out, because it's a fantastic industry. And as we mentioned earlier on, Kirsty, it rewards you again and again and again. You get that buzz, you get that feeling. I can't tell you what that's like. It's, people sort of say, some footballers say it's like scoring a goal or something like that, or contributing to that goal. Can you imagine that, contributing, being one of those persons that have made that decisive pass or hit that shot, that backhand down the line? How have you created that? It's all come from the basic training. The satisfaction, you think, wow, brilliant. I was shown how to do that. Now it's actually happening. I'm putting it into action. And then as I say, it teaches you other areas. I don't know, okay, I've sold millions of cookbooks, but would I have been able to have done that without the understanding of the way things are laid out when I was at college? Not how to write a book, but just how to think, how to structure it. That goes there, that goes there. What's the oven temperature? How much is 100 grams, or does it go, or do I need 125 grams? All of those things, being able to calculate things or work things out. It's a fantastic foundation for that.
And as you think about, Ainsley today, and go back to Ainsley as that boy in his chef's hat at age 17, 18, What's the thing you look back that you're most proud of having achieved?
I think that I've always been a great sharer, you know. I've always loved, even now I get friends over, we have a brunch or a lunch or whatever. I've got my pizza oven in the garden, I've got my barbecue and stuff like that. I love sharing, I love bringing people around. And even though my children have got a little bit older now, my daughter Maddie, who's 30, invites her friends round, and they all come round and, you know, make up the pizza dough and all these different toppings, a bit like how you put everything out here for me, and they can put stuff and then you shove it into the oven. A couple of minutes later you pull it out and you've got a lovely pizza. Things like that give me enormous sense of satisfaction. And I think that in answer to your question, what have I learned? I think how important it is in the art of sharing. You know, it really is, just to be able to share your skills, pass them on to other people, give them the opportunity of thinking, you know what, I really like this, you know, and the joy, it gives me an immense amount of joy. And I think there's loads of people out there who are kind of, what do I really want to do? You know, give catering a go.
Yeah, well,
the hospitality industry is fantastic and it's growing. Yeah. They talk about affluence out there, they talk about stuff. Look at all the delivery companies. Who cooks that food? Who puts that food together? You know, everything that you're eating, it's got to come from somewhere. You know, it doesn't matter whether, you know, you're making a couscous dish or a rice dish or a potato dish, whatever you're doing, it's kind of, it's being able to kind of look at the ingredients and kind of think, yeah, a bit of that, know what you're doing, understand the science of things. If you add a bit of water to it, you're going to get a little bit of steam. If you don't, the natural sugars are going to come out. It's going to go a bit brown in the pan. All those little things, Kirsty. I know it sounds a bit...
No, it doesn't at all.
You know, but it makes for cooking, it makes for understanding how things work.
Well, look, you are an absolute ambassador for it. And you know, I love my food. I like cooking, but I love my food, and you've just made me understand why I love it, because it's because of people like you who bring out that sense of pleasure and community. And just on that note, actually, it's probably important, actually, Ainsley, to recognise that we're able to film this in the London Community Kitchen. What a great! I mean, they feed over 10,000 people every week, and they have their motto, which is zero waste, zero hunger. And you know, they're feeding people in the community who, if they didn't have access to this food and these meals.
I'm so glad that places like the community centre here exist, because it means it cuts down the waste. You know, we are so impatient now, right? That's a certain standard, we can only keep that for 4 days, right? Get that out. And normally it just goes into waste somewhere. But, you know, places like this, take it, distribute it, give people an opportunity. They're talking about fresh produce, be it cauliflower, a carrot, bit of greens, bit of meat, bit of fish, whatever it is, it's out there. The sell-by date it's fine. It's being able to feed people, and I love the art of that. And it's because of places like the community centre, like this community centre, that ultimately what will happen is that even those that can't afford it suddenly have got the food, so they're learning how to cook the food. Yeah. Dare I say, is it about training? Yeah. Is it about showing people the right way? And is it about, you know, having one go to college and get one City and Guilds to be able to pass that information on? Is it that you don't have to stay in the catering industry, but guess what? It never leaves you. It's there with you forever. Yep. And we all talk about different... lady here, I was speaking at the community centre, and she started off, I think she was 16 years at McDonald's and started off as a young person, and she just gave all her effort. She absolutely loved it. And she climbed up the ladder very, very quickly. These big companies really know. So I'm saying there's different levels of catering. Absolutely. And then she's given up that job to come here to work at the community centre, because sense of satisfaction.
No, absolutely. Well, look, a massive shout out definitely to the London Community Kitchen for doing the fantastic work. I've got one last sort of cheeky question, if I may. Look, you clearly did your City and Guilds. You've had a fantastic career. You've gone on to do so many wonderful things. But
MBE.
Indeed, absolutely.
A bit like the guy that runs the community centre here. Fantastic.
No, absolutely brilliant. But if you could think, if you were to do a City and Guilds all over again, is there another industry, sector, job that you would ever consider doing a City and Guilds in?
I don't know if they've sit in Gills as a tennis player. I've just seen that amazing Alcaraz play, and I just think to myself, God, dear, I'd love to 2021 and winning all these majors. Not really.
You found your heart.
I think I found something that I absolutely loved, and the fact that I've been able to go onto television in front of millions of people and share my love. Yeah, I mess about. I've got the kind of bit of music, and I do a little bit of dance and stuff like that. That's me. As I've often said, Kirsty, wouldn't it be boring if we were all the same?
Absolutely.
If everybody just turned out like that's it. That's how a chef should prepare. We're all different, and we're able to share the love of food, and it doesn't matter which form it comes in. But I tell you something, how far we've moved forward is miraculous in this country. You know, if you could think about garlic, now everybody's got garlic salt, garlic chips,
chili,
garlic that, chili, everything is just, we've incorporated all these wonderful things into our life, and it's great.
Yeah.
So I found my destiny, I found my joy, and long may it continue, because, it's one of the best industries in the world.
Brilliant.
And I'm not just talking about TV, I'm just talking about the catering industry.
No,
wonderfully satisfying.
Well, no, and I think you've more than demonstrated just how it is all about inclusivity and how food creates inclusivity, and that's been such a big part of your story. Ainsley, thank you so much.
Oh, pleasure.
I've so enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to go on and inspire many other people who are thinking about how skills can change their lives too. And best of luck in your next endeavours, and thank you.
And thank you all for watching. It's been great talking to Kirsty, but really, if you're thinking about going into an industry, this is probably one of the best you can ever get, because cooking is so satisfying on a regular basis. It just take your time and love you up.
And you've heard it from the man who's been doing it for decades.
Yes, man, let me continue. Come, let me make an omelette.
Thank you, brilliant. That's a wrap.
Lovely.
Thanks, Ainsley.
Thanks,
really great, honestly.